Aloha, friends. I'm doing this art lesson because of Aloha Week, and I wanted to teach you how to make a ukulele. Not a real ukulele that you could play, but a ukulele is a small guitar, and it is a musical instrument that they use in the Hawaiian Islands and in Polynesia. The Polynesian people are the ones who originally inhabited the Hawaiian Islands. So I'm going to start with painted paper. Now I'm not sure if you have these materials at home. And if you don't worry about it. Next year when we come back to school, we will be doing this lesson. So it's a lot of fun, but if you've got the supplies, then go ahead and use them. I want you to think about the color wheel. Close your eyes and think about the primary colors are yellow, red, and blue. And then the secondary colors are green and purple and orange. So you want to choose two colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So I chose green and I chose yellow. And then I also chose white so that it would brighten it up a little bit. And I also got some water so I could thin out the paint, because this is not a time that I want it to be really thick paint. We're making painted paper so we can have a nice background color. And so here's how it's going to go. I'm going to get my brush wet. I'm going to mix in some yellow and just big strokes all across my paper. And then some green, big strokes all across my paper. I'm even going to let them mix together, because that's the fun part of it. And even some white so that it will lighten it up a little bit. And I just go all the way across. I even go off the paper so it looks good like that. More yellow. I really should have made it watery, more watery, but this is good enough. Okay? And then, after I get it all completely covered, the whole paper is nice and wet and covered, and I can make my brush strokes go the same way or different ways. That doesn't matter. That's not important. We just want color. So I really like these colors, by the way. It's really fun to mix the colors and see them. But then I can take things that would make texture. Maybe you have somebody in your house that likes to decorate cakes. Well, these are the things that you spread along the frosting to make ridges. Well, I don't use it for that because I don't make very good cakes. But I could use it for the texture on my paper like that. Or if I don't have that, I can use the bottom of an egg carton and just press it in there while it's still wet. And that looks pretty cool. It makes little spots like bubbles, like air bubbles or something. If I don't have that, then I could use bubble paper. Just lay it down and rub it, and it gives it that texture. So as you can see, I made lots of texture on this painted paper. Now, as you can imagine, I already have some, oops, did I throw it away? That I made before we got here. So ignore the paint now. That's not the part we're talking about anymore. I have this painted paper, this painted paper, and this painted paper. And I like all those colors just fine. But now it's time to go ahead and make the ukulele. So the ukulele is like a guitar, only smaller. And I'm going to start, it's going to look like this when you're all done. Okay? I'm going to start by folding my paper in half, because a ukulele is symmetrical. It is an instrument that's symmetrical. And symmetrical means it's the same on both sides, like a mirror. Like you put a mirror in the middle and it looks the same either way. Okay? So, to make my ukulele, I think there's two ways to do it. I could just draw it and keep my line there so that I can keep in mind how it's going to be. Or I can go ahead and draw it on the back of the paper like that. And then I didn't do such a great job. There's sort of a bump there that looks weird. So when I cut, I don't have to cut exactly on my lines. I can cut like this. Make it a little bit smaller bump. But then since I'm using there. And then that looks about like a guitar shape, maybe not quite skinny enough. Then the second way I could do it is just right onto the paper and then use that line in the center, that fold in the center as my guide. And then start with the neck, then I think that's what you call it, the neck, and then go out, in, out, around at the bottom, out, in, out, and around at the bottom, okay? And then I'd cut that out, okay? So those are two different ways you can do your ukulele. But then you need the added parts of the ukulele, just like on a guitar. You're gonna have this hole in the middle, which is not truly a hole since we're making a paper one. And I can choose any color I want. So I think since my paper was pink and purple, I'm gonna choose a green and make a circle. Now, since I don't have a lid, I've got this, remember when we made all those picture pies, I've got that going for me, so I don't have to have that purple perfect circle. I have to be able to draw it. And I like to choose really bright colors because whenever I think of Hawaii, I think of a nice, bright, sunshiny place that I would love to visit. And so there's how the hole goes. The hole of the ukulele goes right there in the middle. And then I'm going to need to have, I think they're called tuning pegs right here, because they are the things that tighten the strings. And so I can choose any color again. I don't have to stick with the same, this same paper, but if I wanted to, I could. I could just use these scraps from here and use those, but I think I'm going to use orange this time. And since I need 4 of them, this is definitely a place and time to use your scrap bucket. If you have a scrap box of paper, this is definitely the time to use that. So for me, I like to do 2 at a time just because it goes a little faster. So I fold my paper over and I make like it's almost like a mushroom shape, isn't it? It's a stick with a peg on it, and then I would glue those there to the side, and I would make 2 more for the same place, and then just a nice straight piece at the bottom right here. Now for your strings, you can actually use yarn. That's what I did with this one. That was a lot of fun. I used just plain old string. You could do that too, or if you'd like, you can just cut your pieces of paper and make strings that way and glue it on to make your ukulele. And then don't forget to decorate it. Add some things like flowers. I added flowers on mine because obviously in Hawaii they have lots and lots of flowers. It is one of the most beautiful places, tropical island I hope to visit someday. Aloha!